All right, it is now afternoon everywhere in the continental United States. So welcome to our presentation today. How you doing, Dave? Get you off of mute there. There we go.
Get off mute.
Sounds
I'm
great.
Darin. Good to be on with you today. Welcome,
Absolutely.
everyone. My name is Dave Schaller. I'm one of the education account managers for GoEngineer. There's 4 of us across the country to take care of our academic accounts, schools, colleges, universities. And Darin's one of application engineers who's going to be running the show here this afternoon. I'm on to support him and answer questions. So look forward to this. Darin, I'll hand it over to you and I'll be around to answer questions.
All right, sounds good. So like I said, we'll take some questions here at the end, and I'll hit an agenda for everybody as well. But if you want to go ahead and throw questions in as they come up, you can type them into the questions section of the GoToWebinar interface. So today we're going to talk about briefly here in a fairly short webinar, the Academic Certification Provider Program. My name is Darin, and I've been around actually since before this program actually existed. And I started here in 1997 when we only had about 3,000 users worldwide. So it's been a beautiful thing to watch not only the software itself flourish as a product, but the community itself grow and so many really loyal and enthusiastic users. I was actually at a user group just the other night on the other side of the state of Michigan here, and we had 125 people live together for 10 presentations at night. And that just shows the dedication of the community that's here. Now, I say this because I've been in the community for 25 years, not just because it's my job, but because things like the Treehouse Master that you see here are really related to the fact that I use SOLIDWORKS in absolutely everything that I do. Now, a few summers ago, I went ahead and created this project, but there's nothing that I do that I don't start in SOLIDWORKS, and that's absolutely everything. I mean, I've got a couple of golf putters on the table behind me, and I got a duck leg over there on the 3D printer behind me as well. And these things all come from somewhere, and I use SOLIDWORKS to do the beginning ideations of those. And I've taught my kids to see exactly how an idea can go from design to reality, but everything I do, again, plays out in this software. So it's been an integral part of the things that I do. It lets me test and be confident and then just simply move forward. That once I have the plan, I just have to execute the plan. And that's really one of the beauties about what we do with this particular tool. So I want to cover a little bit today about how I use the software to go from the idea to reality, or how we're going to go ahead and apply that to the academic community here and get more people to be able to access the software as well. And when I'm using it, I'm usually trying to get to a particular point here and get a knowledge transfer, which is what all of this is all about between GoEngineer and our community. Now, we use a YouTube channel to get a lot of our ideas across, so go ahead and visit that to get, again, some of the information about the future releases that we're working on with SOLIDWORKS, the past releases that we've covered in our What's News, and all of the different pieces of content out there that we do to go ahead and support our community and our users. Now, talking about the program today with the Academic Certification Program, we're going to go through a few different areas. And I want to start with what industry certifications are actually out there. Then we'll move into what the program actually is, but really most importantly, why we should offer this program to people. At the end, kind of a little checklist of exactly what you need to know about getting started here and things that we'd have to have ready on exam day. And then we'll, again, open this up to questions. So we're just going to barrel right through, Dave. So unless you go ahead and hop in here, I'm just going to go ahead and start on forward. All right, so first, there are SOLIDWORKS industry certifications out there, and they have been since 1998. Now, I mentioned that I've been doing this since 1997. Well, we had reseller certifications prior to that to make sure that we were certified trainers and certified support technicians. So that was the beginning of what was the entire certification program as we know it today. Now, up to now, we have over 500,000 people that have completed certifications within this. So it's kind of interesting that some of us are in different areas based on certifications that we've taken, and based on what you've done and kind of the levels that you've achieved, it gives you a bit of status among the industry. And these certifications are taken seriously by employers. And that's really probably the biggest benefit of this whole thing, is that it is a real and valued thing that we're dealing with. It's a metric. It shows people, sort of like a college degree. It doesn't necessarily teach or tell you what somebody's learned, but it has taught you that they have gone through something and they've gone from start to finish and they've completed a project and they have the wherewithal to do that. Well, here our certifications are documented. You know exactly what somebody's done. You know what they had to achieve and the steps that it took to get there. And when two people have the same certification, you know that at least their skills are somewhat on par with each other. So these are important things, but they do give you some real valuable data to go on when you're vetting your potential employees or people's potential employees. Now, there's 3 different certifications that we really have. We try not to go too detailed with the minutiae here. So basically, we start out with Certified SOLIDWORKS Associate. We move up to Professional, and then after an extensive amount of additional testing, you can go for your Certified SOLIDWORKS Expert. So this is what that looks like. Certified SOLIDWORKS Associate basically confirms that you can use the software, you're pretty good with the user interface, and then you basically have part modeling, assembly, creation, and drawing skills. So the 3 main things, really what SOLIDWORKS encompasses, but are the main things that are necessary in order to take an idea, to create a design, to assemble multiple components together, and then create those production level detailed drawings to convey those thoughts in a very common way. So CSWA is at the ground level, but again, it is a level of confirmation of acumen in the 3 main areas of the SOLIDWORKS software and in design in general, frankly. When we get into CSWP, there's a higher degree of capability here, and it's more of parts that are a bit more complicated. Design trees, as you know, with parametric modeling that have more features in them and there's more management to it. But it's a sense of somebody is more in tune with the software and they're on autopilot as far as the user interface is concerned, and they're more concerned with how they're trying to get their job done. So they've gone through the level of creating all the basic features and sketches and reference geometry and those types of things, and they're going on to next level things, shells, ribs, and advanced features in order to, again, not only create designs that are more sophisticated, but be able to evaluate those designs to make sure that the parts that we're going to create from those are going to fit up properly and are going to be quality. And with some of the simulation tools, they're also going to fit, form, and function correctly as well. So a bit more than just an idea in your head onto paper. This one gets next level, more in a mechanical engineer's level. When we get to the CSWE, the expert, is rare air. There's only about 4,500 of us actually walking the earth. So as a nerd, I take that very, very seriously. But essentially, the CSWE is done after you've taken the CSWP and then had to take 4 of these main we'll call them offshoot exams, but these are a little bit more verticals, industry specific. And I say this because you have a choice here. And it's a choice because not everybody needs every part of SOLIDWORKS. So generally you can find enough of a combination here of things between sheet metal, generally that industry, peripherals and weldments. You're probably going to do some drawing tools for sure, and maybe surfacing or molds. You have a choice on each of those. But again, you can kind of choose your own adventure on the 4 that really get you to the next level as a prerequisite. So that's the important part of CSWE. And the path is really very clear when you look at them all together. You don't have to take the associate. That's not a required, but that's generally where we begin when it comes to the academic level. Professional is anybody that's going to be in industry. And again, you can select from these other 6 design tools, choose 4 of those, and by passing 4 of those, you qualify to take the CSWE. So you have to take those to even qualify to even take the Certified SOLIDWORKS Expert exam. So this is really what the industry certification looked like. And again, it is rigorous. People know that these are serious. These are not Frisbee certifications. And that's an important thing because we don't take them lightly. Why should you offer these certifications? Well, by being a service provider for these certifications, you become a go-to source for talent, and that becomes a marketable asset when it comes to bringing students to your schools or to your facilities. And these days, I've been saying this for 15 years. Check Monster.com. Check all these sites. They are looking for primarily and in large quantities talented SOLIDWORKS designers. There are other softwares out there. Some of them we refer to in my area of the woods here as CarCAD, things like Unigraphics and CATIA. People are being asked for those, but very, very few compared to the amount of people that are being that are being sought for SOLIDWORKS positions. So it is the thing that if you have this as a marketable skill, you do have the ability to almost go into any design industry that you prefer. So it's a great thing. It has provided me 25 years of absolutely faithful, income and livelihood, and it's going to be here until I retire. So I know that having SOLIDWORKS behind me is something that's going to take me anywhere I want to go with it. Those are great things. Now, even in Dave's neck of the woods there in Texas, the Texas Education Agency recognizes the CSWA as a certification. So, again, it is not just a piece of paper that somebody gives you. It is a piece of paper that is valued by those who it really matters to. So those are incredibly important things as well. Now, when you're a provider, the exams are free. So there is a cost to these. There is a value to these. And, there are credits that employers purchase and provide to their students, or they put them through training classes, which gets them some credit to take exams as well. But either way, there is skin in the game typically when it comes to taking these exams. Again, they are not typically free. So being a provider, you do get this extra benefit. Now, what's also free is the preparation lessons, the material behind what gets somebody ready for these types of exams. And as you can see here, there are sample exams. Sample exams are great because those give you, again, the ability to get a little bit of balance underneath you and a little bit of familiarity with the interface before you get into what is already a little bit of a nerve-wracking situation whenever the clock is ticking and whenever the questions matter. So these sample exams are great. They give you the lay of the land, the format, get you used to things before you go for the actual real ones. To take a little bit of the concern off of a lot of you guys out there, you don't have to be a SOLIDWORKS expert to administer these. Very much not. They have matured, again, over the last 23 years, and that means that the testing tool has also been maturing that long. What that basically means is that proctoring is pretty easy. It really comes down to being able to get students into their seats, get the proper information input, and then just basically just making sure the computer hardware is up to snuff. The way the actual exams work is pretty ingenious. You could have 10 people sitting right next to each other on the exact same exams, and even within sight of each other's screens. What will happen is the questions might be the same, but the inputs and the answers would be randomized. So you can't cheat, and frankly wouldn't want to off the person next to you because there's no use. They have figured that one out, and there's no way around that one. So you're going to be given different inputs, and the answer is A, B, C, D, and you're going to have to put in what is unique to your particular iteration of that question, and there are dozens of each. So there's no point, but it makes it a very, again, integral test because it can't be tampered with. Now, they are also self-graded. As soon as you're done, you get a list of the questions. You can even see which ones you haven't answered yet and go back to those and answer them if you choose. And then when you say end examination, it says this cannot be undone, so you say yes. And then it simply goes through and ends, gives you the results, and actually shows you immediately what your results happen to be. And I need to tell you again from examination experience, it's about the most nerve-wracking 12 seconds you're ever going to have when you hit end examination and you wait for the screen to pop up. Because I haven't passed every single one. But the beauty of these is they not only tell you if you've passed where you're strong, but if you've failed any of these, it also tells you the areas that you actually need to maybe work a little bit harder at. Now, this is something you get immediately as somebody taking the exam. What you'll get actually as a proctor of the exam is even a bit more of granular metrics as to what a user needs, what they need moving forward, and kind of help them on a path in that direction. We'll talk about that in just a second here. This is an eye chart. I don't intend you to be able to read this. This is something so that when we send this out as a PDF or a PowerPoint, these are selectable hyperlinks to get you to these areas. So it really is just a big menu of the 17 free student certifications that are there. Again, they have a value, they have a list price, and it is something that does, again, have that value and it takes that weight with it. But just wanted to put this up there as just a quick idea of what a lot of these certification tests look like. So the provider program is detailed out pretty specifically. In order to go ahead and get in the application process, what you really have to do is just know your school's network license number. It's a 24-digit SOLIDWORKS number. You're going to know, in this particular case, if you want to do the CSWA or the CSWP type of exam. So those are going to have different lengths, and you'll want to be prepared for each of those. The CSWE exam, as I mentioned, was 4 hours long, so it's a pretty rigorous test even in its own right. For this setup, you'll have to have the school domain's name, and then again, the domain name or the email addresses that each of these students are going to use. Now, this is not intended to be instructional. It is intended to be an awareness piece. We have a detailed set of instructions that are going to be available to you here coming up. Basically, what you have to do is go and log in order to go ahead and sign up for this program. Now, I wanted to provide some information in a couple of different ways, and everybody consumes information differently. So we are providing typical hyperlinks here. So if you do want to just go ahead and type this in on your computer, you can go ahead and do that, or get information from us afterwards. We'll send this out to you, and these hyperlinks will be live. But if any of you want to bring your phone out right now, take your phone out and turn the camera on. Now, I know this works with iPhones. I can't certify that it works with an Android device. But if you have an iPhone, go ahead and pull that out, pull up your camera, and point it at the QR code that you see on the screen right now. What this will do for you moving forward is this is going to pop open a new tab on your browser. So if it's an iPhone, again, it's going to be Safari, and it'll bring you exactly to the page in which this application process begins. So this will be a nice takeaway for you that you can go ahead and explore this a little bit later. If not, you're just going to simply go ahead and type in or click this link if we send it to you, and then scroll down the page a little bit. You'll see the Becoming an Academic Certification Provider link at the bottom. Okay, I'll give you 5 more seconds on this QR code, and then we're going to go past that. 3, 2, 1. Okay. So pre-exam day, I'm going to have a few more QR codes, so be ready with your phones here. This will be a lot of data that you can take away today instead of having another touch in order to get that from us later. So the pre-exam day checklist. First, we start with the hardware setup. So those of you who have labs and have to be in touch with the system resources and requirements that are there, all we really need is to have SOLIDWORKS installed and internet access. Now, there is a tester tool. It's called the Tangix Tester Client. It loads onto your system, and then at that point, it will start to open the software, let you choose the credits that you have, and then select the actual exam type that you might be taking at that particular time. Now, with this tool, you're going to want to download this and then just simply fire it up, and it will test the connectivity of what this tool is prior to test day. That's not something you want to fire up 5 minutes before you've got a pretty important session getting underway. So this particular QR code is different than the other. Each page we're going to have different ones. This will actually be the 3D Experience virtualtester.com link. So you can either go ahead and screenshot that or copy it down. Screenshot it now and point it at the QR code later if you'd like. Okay, we're going to move on from that one. And again, we'll have a couple more codes coming up here. For student identification, they're going to need a school email address. Those domains are tied to the actual, tied to your school's ability to give the test. So that's where we're going to have those sync up. Now, with those, downloading the tester client is going to have a link that simply says create a tester account. So they must do that with the corresponding address. Now, the student can attempt those free exams. In fact, we encourage it. That's going to go ahead and give them the experience, like I said, gets a little bit of familiarity to what the tool looks like and how a single choice versus a multiple choice type of question might work, but also tests make sure things work. Just as simple as that. Your connectivity test is done by doing a simple 10-question sample exam. Okay, for the student exam prep. Now, this is another QR code once again, but this is for their mysolidworks.com access. Now, mysolidworks.com is available to students and professionals alike. And there are free sections to this with an incredible wealth of information. And then there are additional paid sections where you can up to a professional or premium license to get access to more things like learning tracks and videos. But basically, everybody is going to have access to knowledge base and a lot of the basic training tracks. CSWA, being the lowest on the totem pole when it comes to certifications, actually has access to 44 lessons online. Now, this QR code directs to that mysolidworks.com page there. You're basically, if you don't have a login, you're going to be prompted to create a login. But again, it's free. Tie it to your serial number is going to give you more access to those. So go ahead and log in for the free one. If you do a professional one, it ties to a company's serial number and it gives them more access based on the license that they have. For this one I mentioned, again, there's 44 different lessons that are here. I left the QR code up there for any of you that hasn't gotten it right away. But it's really great stuff, and it gives you some details as to exactly what the status is. So you can start, you can not complete these, and hop out of them in the middle of them and then come back and finish these things. So some of them are time tests like the actual CSW, AP, and E tests, but a lot of these prep courses here are going to be something you can take at your own pace. All right, Dave, got a couple more here. Now the process itself, it's pretty detailed and we've more or less outlined it here, but frankly there's a PDF that covers it in implicit detail, so there's no point in reinventing the wheel here. So I'll give you a link in just a second. You'll actually be able to download this PDF immediately or again go directly to it using the QR code. But basically this is about a 20-page document that shows you what the certification provider program looks like. Now, all throughout this document, things that I've actually shown through this presentation were things like exactly what those sample codes look like and how to input those credits and give those to your students. Again, details on that one. That one's on page 4. You get a bit deeper, you're going to see a lot more about what it looks like when you log into Tangix Tester Pro initially, and then how to go ahead and actually input the credits and select the exams that you do get available to you, as well as things like the actual vetting of the exams or the final follow-up that shows you exactly what details maybe need a little bit more scrutiny or extra work for that particular student. So it's going to be areas of improvement that they might want to focus on. This is just a small part of what this entire PDF provides. So if you have your phone out again here, I want to go ahead and throw another QR code up here, and you can go directly to this little shortened GoEngineer address. This is also the PDF that I've kind of taken a few screenshots from right here. But this is the essence of the document. This is version 2 of this, which is updated, right, Dave? This is the latest and greatest. And yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to, for anybody that is already doing certifications, SOLIDWORKS is changing the process as of January 1. This document is covering the new procedure, so you definitely want to download it. For those of you that are not yet a provider, I doubt you'll be up and running in the next couple days before you go on Christmas break. So you're pretty much going to be using this after the first of the year anyway. So make sure you download it and just follow the instructions that are in it. So go ahead, Darin.
Yeah, right on. So this code will get you the entire document here so you can see the nuts and bolts, everything. It included the synopsis I had in the beginning of the hardware resources that were necessary in the setup guide. So everything that we've really picked into this presentation here has been out of this guide here. So faithful to that. Now, another reason why I didn't necessarily go into the nuts and bolts of the entire setup is that actually tomorrow SOLIDWORKS is doing that themselves. So I didn't want to do a retread or a stealing their thunder. We've been working together for 2.5 decades, so they're my best friends there. But they have 2 sessions available tomorrow. So these are some pretty detailed links. I'm going to go ahead and again give you individual QR codes for each of these, but a lot of you, I believe, did get an email on this. If you are in the academic community, I believe that was target group, so that's of course going to be whoever gets the automatic emails here. Now, in the event that you didn't and you're interested in the 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here, this is the AM session, so a unique QR code to shorten that 3ds.com link there for Zoom. I'll give you a couple of seconds on that. That'll just bring you to a nice registration page. And even if you're not going to be able to attend these, frankly, guys, pull out your phone and sign up for these. If you're not there, you're just going to get the follow-up email that says our recording is stored here. That's going to give you a nice link. So you'll have that in your back pocket regardless of whether you can be there live at 9 a.m. or at noon tomorrow. So we'll go to the PM link. I'll go ahead and click over to that one now. I said noon. It's 1 p.m. Eastern, excuse me. It's still going to be the AM for you all out on the West Coast, but that gets you a little bit closer. Again, in any event, go ahead and sign up for it. It's going to give you that link in the after follow-up that just lets you know where that recording is stored. Okay, Dave, I believe with that, we are going to, if you haven't already answered them up there, we're going to go ahead and open it up to any questions that anybody has. Now, again, everybody's automatically on mute because this is a webinar. But if you have any other questions, you want to go ahead and type into the questions pane. We'd be glad to answer those. And if not, we really do thank you for hanging with us for a half an hour here. And we are recording this as well, so we're going to place this up on our YouTube channel. So if anybody that you know that maybe didn't have a chance to watch this, that you might want to see that, we'll get that up there as soon as humanly possible.